Hey guys, so today we're going to be talking about companion plants. I'm going to be sowing seeds of companion plants, more specifically, kind of some really great basic companion plants for your vegetable garden. So some of the things I'm planting today are basil, spearmint, parsley, dill, alyssum, cosmos, chamomile, and crimson clover. So as I'm going through kind of sowing these seeds, I'll talk to you a little bit about what each of these plants does and what plants it would be paired with as a good match. I'm actually going to be using these seed trays from Bootstrap Farmer. I have seen a lot of other YouTubers using them and loving them, and they actually look like something that I'm really going to like. First of all, they have a hole in the bottom that's big enough for me to put my finger through to pop the plants out, the seedlings out. What I also love about this design is that they're offset and each of them have air pruning slits. I don't know if you can see that, up the sides. And so that's why they're offset, so they can breathe and do some air pruning while they're still seedlings. I'll put a link below to this product if you guys want to check it out. They also have the watering tray and the humidity dome, and they come in a lot of different colors. All right, so I've got one here that's got pre-moistened potting soil already in it. And I'm gonna do this entire tray, 72, with basil. This is just Italian Genovese green basil. So I've got my trusty guide here. I literally wrote the book on companion planting. If you guys haven't used this book, I'll leave a link down below for it. You don't need any other companion planting resource other than that. Basil is one of my favorite companion plants, especially for tomatoes. It's a summer annual herb that loves sunshine. Its strong scent can confuse pests who might be looking for crops that they can eat or lay their eggs on. Eggs that will produce larvae that will then eat your veggies. When you plant basil near crops that pests locate by smell, it will literally throw them off the scent. It also has flowers that honeybees go crazy for. Be careful if you're using the basil for food, you don't want to let it go to flower. Once it flowers, it becomes very bitter. Vermiculite's a great thing to use to cover the seeds instead of potting soil. It cuts down on fungus gnats, it cuts down on damping off. Always remember to label. Just give it a little extra water on top to dampen that vermiculite. All right, now we're going to be sowing some Alyssum. This is a multicolor pack, and I'm going to try to get a whole tray out of this because this is a good one. Alyssum, or sweet alyssum, is a low-growing annual that is easy to cultivate, and it self-seeds, which means it returns year after year without becoming invasive. It's heat and drought tolerant, though it looks its best with regular watering. It comes in white, pink, purple, and yellow, which is more rare. Alyssum is a really shallow-rooted plant, so it won't compete with any crops that it's planted around for water and nutrients. On top of all that, it's almost maintenance-free and pest-free. Alyssum attracts a wide range of beneficial insects, including hoverflies, ladybugs, and parasitic wasps. It's a great companion planting choice for lower to medium height crops that have issues with aphids, such as broccoli, cabbage, cauliflower, lettuce, and peppers. All right, I'm going to be growing one row of spearmint, 2 rows of dill, and probably 2 rows of parsley as well. Spearmint actually is great to plant with anything that gets aphids because it attracts minute pirate bugs. They feed on aphids and all kinds of other little critters that harm our plants. The next 2 rows, we're going to be sowing some dill. Dill's another one of those companion plants that gives your garden protection from pests, but also gives you a harvest as well. It's another plant that will attract aphid predators like hoverflies, ladybugs, and parasitic wasps. Parasitic wasps can help manage not only aphids, but scale, whitefly, sawfly larvae, leaf miners, many species of caterpillar, including tomato hornworm. Doubling down for parasitic wasps, I'm sowing some seeds for parsley. In my opinion, you can't get too many parasitic wasps in the garden. They're tiny wasps. They're not going to sting you. They're harmless to people, but they're very harmful to some of our worst pests, including squash vine borer. Next is chamomile, and I'm going to sow 3 rows of that. Daisy-type flowers, like many species of daisies, chamomile, zinnias. When you look at a flower in this species, like a Shasta daisy, you might think you're looking at one flower, but in fact, you're looking at hundreds of little yellow florets contained within a circle of white bracts, or what look like petals. Each of these florets contain nectar and attract bees, hoverflies, and lacewings. You could also grow echinacea, sunflowers, calendula, and cosmos. In fact, that's our next choice, cosmos. I plant 3 rows of this as well. There are a few flowers that put on as long a show in the vegetable garden as cosmos. If deadheaded, they can bloom all summer long. I like them because the foliage is light and airy and it doesn't crowd out any of its neighbors. Instead, it kind of mixes and mingles with any plant that it's next to. All right, I'm not sowing it right now because this will be direct sowed, and this is crimson clover. Now you're probably thinking, clover is a weed, why would I purposefully plant that in my garden? It's my favorite cover crop and living mulch because it's beautiful, it's easy to control, it gives back to the soil, attracts beneficials, and provides shelter for pest predators like ground beetles, damsel bugs, and assassin bugs. It shades the ground, which keeps the soil moist, it keeps weeds from growing. Now, it can be invasive, it can be a weed. So as these get ready to bloom, you need to mow them down to the ground. If they can't go to seed, they can't reproduce. But when you do mow them down, leave the clippings on top of the soil, and it's going to be a great green mulch to, as it slowly disintegrates, it's going to be pulled down into the soil. All those nutrients that it gathered in the soil, it's going to give back to the soil. Plus, it's a legume, which means it's fixing nitrogen from the air and putting it into the soil for your next crop to take advantage of. It can be sown as a cover crop, meaning if you're not growing anything in that area, plant crimson clover, or if you are, but they're spread apart. Maybe you have bigger plants, tomatoes, eggplant, peppers. This is a great thing to plant under those. Tomatoes especially, the taller the better, but it's going to make that living mulch for all of the aforementioned reasons. So this is just a starter. Like I said, next Sunday we're going to get into all of the benefits of companion planting, science-based companion planting. If you want a sneak peek and you're getting ready to plant tomatoes, click right here. This is the best companion plants for tomatoes, science-based. See you next time.